everybody. I'm Steph.
Hi, Michael.
And today we're checking out Oak.
From Game Brewer.
Yeah.
Plays 1 to 4 players. So, yes, there is a solo mode, and it has a box time of about 90 minutes. So, in Oak, you are trying to make the best group or sect or moot of druids. Group of druids, I believe, is called a moot. And you've got moot cards. And it looks the same as, the point is moot.
Yeah.
But it's spelled the same exact way, M-O-O-T. Anyway, if you get the best score in the game, then you will learn the secrets of the Great Oak, which all of our druids are surrounding and worshiping the Great Oak, as you do as a druid. So,
as you do.
As you do. So,
the theme. I think the theme is cool.
I agree. And the cool thing is that you can take your little druid guys like this, right? This is like a normal druid, right? And what you can do is you can upgrade them to an elder druid by placing one of these cute little pieces on your druid, and behold, you now have an ancient elder druid.
That's gonna be one of the greatest game pieces of all time.
Oh yes.
I think it's amazing.
I believe this is the recluse. It has a little cape. And they each have powers, which is really cool. Or this is the super cool one. You can have little birds on your staff and on your shoulder. So that's sort of cool. Anyway, there are 6 different upgrades that you can create on your druids, making them different elder druids. Oh yeah, Kid Angel says the art in that game is so good. I Googled. Yes, absolutely. The art is fantastic. Let's go ahead and go to the overhead.
Yeah.
And see what this is about. So you have the Great Oak here in the middle. We've got in the woods or the deep forest, you've got all sorts of ingredients like acorns and blueberries. You've got your little area over here where you are. Look, it actually has fire on these spots, and you'll take these cauldrons and randomly place them in the fire coals. It's really cool. So you can brew potions down here. Hello, Panic, raiding with a party of 4. Panic. Mom Gamer and Laura and Cowabunga friend of Panic.
Welcome in, everybody. We are just starting the rules to Oak.
So you'll notice I've got 3 druids down here that are in my little druid hut. These are called active druids. The druids that are down here around the base of the Great Oak are called passive druids. Those passive druids are going to be climbing up these branches of the oak. And so there are 3 different branch paths that you can take, a left, a middle, and a right side branch. So you're going to have 3 druids that are going to get really close and personal with the oak. So,
explore the oak.
You cannot assign passive druids as active druids. You cannot assign active druids as passive druids. They are 2 totally separate things. You'll also notice, see, I am purple. Steph is this orangish red. You'll notice that there are some yellow druids on there as well. Those are for a little bit of a blocking mechanism for 2 and 3 player games. So, are the pieces wood, plastic, or cardboard? NetJohn asks. These are wood pieces here. The little accessories that you add onto them make them, these are little plastic rubberized pieces. So as you see, you can you bend these little antlers around.
Yeah, you can accessorize your druid.
Yeah, makes accessories on it.
For those who just joined us.
And of course, all the other stuff is either cardboard for the case of the artifacts and potions, or and the ingredients, or they are, well, these are also wood, the round token and the sun token. Those are in wood, but all the rest is cardboard and cards.
Okay.
So, it is Druid Barbie. Oh, Mom Gamer received her copy of Oak a couple of days ago. Fantastic. So, Everyone is going to start with 6 resources. You've got feather, you've got mistletoe, and you've got runes. And let me tell you, uh, resources are tight in this game. So resources are not to be confused with the ingredients, which are here in the forest. Notice that there are more ingredients if you're playing a 3 or 4 player game. You'll notice that there are also dots on the trees. That is just for player count. You'll notice that for 1 and 2 players, the little tokens are on the 1 and 2 spots. And for 3 or 4 player game, you're going to put those higher up in the
Just 4
tree. Oh,
player.
just 4 player. Oh, 3 player doesn't have them at all.
There's 2 there with 3 players.
Oh, with 3 players, you're going to have
It's
to
a
have
2
2.
slash 3 dot space.
Oh, that's a 2 slash. Got it.
Yeah.
So, um, anyway, in Oak, you are going to basically be playing cards in order to assign workers. You have 3 cards that are available to you as starting moot cards. You'll notice the starting moot cards have a little symbol up in the corner. You'll notice that your upgraded moot cards do not have a symbol in the corner, and there is one for each type of resource: mistletoe and feathers and runes. So when you want to take an action, you're going to have to play one of these cards, spend the resources, and place one of your active druids onto the relevant temple spot. Now, here's the feather temple over here, the rune temple over here, and the mistletoe temple over here. So if I wanted to, for example, get one of these creature cards, there's 3 creature cards over here to the side. And whenever you get a creature card, they're going to refresh immediately. Those are actually off the side of the board here on this side, like so. Um, if I wanted to get a creature card, I would pay 6 feathers and place a druid onto the 2 stone space in the feather temple. So let's take a look at that. Take one of my guys here. I'm going to place it on the 2 stone space of the temple. Boom, I put him there. I pay the 6 resources and I take one of these little critters. Now, where do I place these critters? These critters, you're not attacking them. They are becoming your friend. You are going to get a certain number of victory points. In this case, it is 3. Notice how the 3 is in white. Anything you get is in white. Anything you have to spend for anything is in red. So white is receiving and red is for paying. And then after you get this creature, you'll either get a one-time ability or an always-on ability. And what you're going to do is you're going to tuck that creature in the bottom half of your board. Notice you've got spots at the bottom where you can place these creatures. So how many creatures can I have? Well, there's a limit token right here that you have to move forward along this track in order to get more than 1 extra card. Or for the top side, more than 1 extra living space for your druids. The top spaces are for creating living spaces, either for normal and elder druids, or just for your normal druids. You can choose which orientation you want and place it on the top half. And look, you see, I've got a new spot for normal and elder druids, just like I've got in my hut. So, if for some reason you want to make one of these, what is that called,
Men
Steph?
here.
A menhir. If you want to make a menhir, it is going to give you 6 victory points. So basically 6 victory points, 4 victory points, 2 victory points. It will also go on the same spot where you put your houses. And again, if you want to increase your limit token, you will have to do so. Now, notice on each of these boards, there is a different sort of resource that is needed to move the limit token up. For example, in this case, I need to spend 3 runes to move it to the next spot, and then 3 feathers to move it to the next spot, and 3 mistletoe to move it to the very last spot. Other player boards might be a little bit different. And then for the living spaces one, you'll notice that it is 3 feather, 3 mistletoe, and 3 runes as you're moving this across. You can do that at any time. It does not, yeah, you can't live in them in here. It's just decorative, but it does take that actual land that you would use for a druid hut. No, it's a druid shrine.
Shrine.
It is a shrine. So, going over these actions really quickly. Let's say I wanted to do this. Well, that's going to let me move my limit token that I just talked to you about, and it's going to cost only 1 feather, and then I get to move either of my limit tokens down here. However, notice someone's already sitting here on the temple. If there is at least one or more druids on that spot, I can certainly place a druid here, but I'm going to have to give up one of my active druids and make him a passive druid. When do I get that druid back? It's not that easy. It does take an action to do so. That druid is going to stay in the passive area. So keep in mind that you can't just move things from active to passive any old time you want. You actually have to take an action like this to make a druid passive, and then you have to take another action to make passive druids back active again. NetJohn, yes, you actually choose your player board at the start of the game. In fact, you do it in reverse player order. I've got the first player token. So Steph got to choose her player board first. And this is to mitigate any sort of first player advantage. And which is usually, the advantage is usually received from the fact that I am going to be placing my druid first. Let's say I go here, then Steph is going to be shut out from using this space, or it's going to at least be more expensive to do so because she's having to give up 2 of her 3 druids just to do so. And there are some elder druids that can mitigate all that for you. All right, so what else can you do here? The last thing you can do on the feather card is to get an artifact. Well, what are these artifacts for? Artifacts will let you have a repeatable ability every time you assign a druid to that space.
Wow,
So
that's a good one.
that it does seem good. That is, every time you brew a potion, you use 1 less ingredient. Anytime you see this little green leaf symbol, that means a wild ingredient. All the ingredients are down here in the forest. As you'll notice that, for example, this potion requires an acorn and any wild ingredient. And that lets you upgrade one of your druids to an elder druid. We'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. But hey, this lets you pay 1 fewer ingredient. That's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
But whenever you do it, you're going to have to rotate this artifact. It has a limited number of uses. So when you get this artifact, it's going to give you 4 victory points. And then if you use it, it's going to consume 1 victory point. If you don't have a victory point, you can't spend it if you don't have it because you cannot go negative. Then the next use is 2 more victory points. The next use is 3 more victory points. And then it is consumed. You notice that it tells you to flip the artifact over. You get to keep the artifact, but it does not consume one of your artifact places. When you get it, you're going to put it over here to the side, pointing this little horseshoe towards your little usage indicator here on the side. So you'll use it, use it, use it. And then when you flip it over, you get to just put it off to the side, opening up a spot for another artifact. And these, just like the creatures, will fill up automatically when one is purchased. There is some sort of an ability or something or other that lets you, place a 3rd artifact in your set. You can do something like this. Let's say you've got 2 artifacts. Well, you can upgrade this to have yet a 3rd artifact in your possession at one time.
It's really hard to do this.
It's really hard to do, and you have to have the certain, I don't know if it's a creature that allows it or a potion that allows it. I do not know exactly. However, I do know there is a mechanism for making that happen. Hello, Fishy Pishy. So, let's see. What else can you do? Down in the mistletoe, on the mistletoe moot, you've got search for an artifact in the bag, pull it out, and keep it. At the end of the, well, I'll talk about that. At the end of the game, there is a way to get rid of ingredients for victory points, but we'll talk about that in a bit. For on the 2 stone spot on mistletoe, pay 5 mistletoe and make a shrine. Shrine's where your druids live. And then the 3 stone spot, pay 6 mistletoe and you get an elder druid. You get to upgrade one of your existing druids to an elder druid. Now, which one do you do? Hopefully it's one you haven't used yet, because each of the elder druids have a unique ability. As we showed you earlier, there are all sorts of different druid types. This one here is the ancient druid, I do believe is what he is called. He is all of the other 5 druid types combined.
He's
so
epic.
That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, you get him by a potion.
There is a specific potion that makes that happen, and if that potion doesn't exist in your game, it's probably not going to happen. There is a small chance, because we didn't have it either, but James found a way to make it.
Yep, he did.
And that made you upset because you wanted the little.
I wanted him.
The cute little antler guy.
Yeah.
So, what are the other types of druids? Well, there is an arch druid, which has the little vest on. Ta-da! And he will allow you, anytime you place your arch druid on a space, you're going to pay 2 fewer resources.
Oh, thanks for following.
Thanks for following, Fishy Pishy. The bard, he's got a little, what is this, a lute, I think, on him.
Cute.
It is cute. It's fantastic. And he will give you a little extension to your player board. I am looking frantically for those. There it is. He will give you a little spot that you will put to the left of your player board, like so. That will allow you to have 1 more shrine and 1 more creature. You see the little bard is just playing off in the field. Otherwise, he really doesn't do anything other than, hey, he is yet another elder druid.
But it's good to have elders because they can go to specific spaces.
Yeah, I am about to explain that here in a bit. So you've got an ovate and an ovate. Anytime you brew a potion, you see he's got a little potion, a little ingredients bag here. He will let you do what that other artifact lets you do, but on an ongoing basis. If he is used to brew the potion, it is 1 fewer ingredient. Moving on to the recluse. The recluse has this fantastic cape, and he does not need his own living quarters. He's got a little spot right here on the player board. You set him here, and he does not take up one of your normal 3 spots. Now, this does not give you a free druid. You're going to have to find a way to recruit one of your passive druids. And when you do that, notice you're going to have fewer passive druids. But that's okay. Last but certainly not least, there is the super important Talon Master. And I have now dropped the Talon Master piece.
It's behind your chair.
No, it's well, what is that over there? I was about to go fishing for something that wasn't it. The Talon Master, a little hard to get on here because there are 3 birds sitting on his staff. Look how cool that is. Now, because he is the Talon Master, he will call his birds to scratch your eyes out if you do not allow him to worship at the temple where you are. So
I like my eyes.
if he wants to go here, this yellow druid's not going to give him any trouble, and it's not going to take another druid to go to the passive area in order for him to do what he wants to do at this temple spot. Basically, you can't block him from wherever he's going to go. So that's pretty awesome. And again, the ancient druid is all of those. Now, instead of the bard place, he has this cool little ancient board because he is like a bard. And you cannot block him because he is like a talent master. And he doesn't need a place to live. He just lives here at the base of his tree, as you can see, because he is like a recluse. And he is like an archdruid and an ovate in that it costs fewer resources or fewer ingredients. So the ancient is pretty awesome. All right, last but not least, we have the rune card that allows you to grab two of your passive druids and make them active as long as you have a place to put him in your little druid hut here or any of the new shrines that you have built. And that costs 3 runes for 3 runes. You can brew a potion, provided you have the ingredients to do so. There is a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3 potion that we've drawn at random. And then there is this potion. What is that one called, Steph? Do you remember? It is called the Darkwood Potion. The Darkwood Potion is always available. You can spend 3 ingredients that are not the same to get 3 victory points, or 4 that are not the same for 5 points, or 5 that is not the same for 7 points. Finally, the last thing here, it allows you to, for 4 runes, you can get a creature card. And we talked about that a little bit ago. No, that is not a creature card. That is upgrading one of your moot cards. Now, that doesn't consume one of your moot cards. You can have multiple moot cards available to you. So that is going to be super helpful to have extra moot cards. Now, you'll notice that those are all things that are on the top half of these cards. The moot cards also have a bottom half ability. And the bottom half ability is for the passive druids. You can spend 3 feathers to move a druid up the feather path of the tree. Or you can spend 3 mistletoes to move up the center mistletoe portion of the tree. Or 3 runes to go up the rune side of the tree. So I take one of my passive druids, spin 3 feathers, and move him 1 step up the feather branch of the tree. I'm going to get what the reward that is on there, which is always in victory points. So that's 2 victory points. Notice that there are little all-state hands right here that has 1 feather next to this spot. That means anytime this sun marker hits one of these the little hand thing, that is a solstice festival that we are having, and you will get any of the resources where your druids are as long as your victory point marker has not gone beyond the solstice marker, the sun marker. In our game, you were ahead of that because you had a lot of victory points, but you didn't care because you weren't going up the tree. I was trying to go up the tree as fast as possible. Now notice there are also these solstice markers that once you advance beyond those solstice markers, you discard it and you'll move the sun yet 1 more time. The sun will only move at the end of the round and whenever one of these solstice markers are passed on the tree. Once you make it to the end of the tree, then you will get some sort of immediate victory point reward. Like for every 5 victory points, get an extra victory point. Or for every Elder Druid, get 2 more victory points. And for creature cards, and for potions, and for shrines or menhirs, or for artifacts. But it is important to note that you can only have one passive druid on each branch of the tree. You cannot follow it up with another druid up that same branch. Notice halfway up each branch, there is a path choice you have to take. You will only ever get to 3 of these end goals in a game. And once I have gone here, then Steph is not going to be able to move her druid into that spot unless she does it the same round. Because at the end of the round, whatever spots have been reached, you're going to take your druid and place it flat on the board, showing that's locked down. We'll just probably take the druid and turn him sideways like that so that y'all can know that those are indeed locked down. So, the upgraded moot cards will give you additional spots in which you can place your druids in order to do certain tasks, and usually at a discount from those basic moot cards. Highly recommend to get those.
There's a few other things on there too, but it's giving you basically more actions that you could possibly choose from.
Right.
Is always good.
Right. Some of them will allow you to move up any path of the tree, or they will allow you to take one guy back instead of two, or things like that.
But also just the same ability of moving up the tree.
Yes.
Because you always have to activate
all the upgraded ones. All the upgraded ones are there at the bottom. Now, you don't have to use your cards. You're going to get them all back at the end of the round. But remember, you've only got a certain number of druids and a certain number of cards and a certain number of resources. So you're going to run out of something at some point.
Yep.
At which point, if you have no more cards or no more active druids or no more resources, what is left for you to do? Well, you can go forage for ingredients. So what you will do is you will take one of your available passive druids, if you have one. Like I might have these all living over here and all these in the tree. I won't have any passive druids to go gather ingredients. But let's say I do. I'm going to take one of these druids, place them out here, and take an ingredient of my choice. Probably these blueberries because, hey, there's a lot of acorns here. And the round will end when all of these ingredients have been taken. And that won't happen until everyone has passed and has started taking ingredients. Now, let's say I've taken all the ingredients, but Steph is still doing things. She can still do things. I really can't do anything else because I took all the ingredients and I don't have anything else to do at that point. Once you start taking ingredients, you are done for the turn except taking ingredients. After everyone is done with their turn, then we are going to do what's called the dusk phase. You return your druids not from the tree, not from the passive areas, but from the 3 temple areas. You're going to return them to your board. You're going to lay down the druids that are on the last space of the tree. You are going to take back all of your moot cards. You're going to replenish the supply of ingredients in the forest. It's always player count +2. You're going to move the solar marker up 1 space, and if a solstice festival happens, then immediately resolve it. And then pass the first player token clockwise. Advance the round marker 1 more step. And then in a 1 or 2 player game, you're going to rotate this little guy clockwise, each of the neutral player druids. In a 3 player game, you're only going to have 1 druid starting here. And when he rotates, he's going to rotate to the next place with a druid on the space. So he's only going to be blocking those 3 spaces the entire game. And then we're going to go back to the dawn phase. Now, the dawn phase is skipped on the first round of the game. The dawn phase is where you get income. The income is a single hand like that, like Steph showed. And generally, you are going to get 3 feathers, 3 mistletoe, and 3 runes. And again, like I say, income is fairly tight. If you remember those moot cards, they cost 3, 5, 6 resources. Super expensive. So keep in mind, you're going to need other ways of generating uh, income uh, if you can. So dawn, get income. Day, do all of your actions. Dusk, reset the board. You're going to do that for 5 rounds, and then you're not going to complete dusk on the final round. However, you are allowed to brew one of these dark wood potions at the end of the game. And keep in mind, you can do that one time. You can brew one darkwood potion. Even if you have 10 ingredients, you can still only brew one of those potions each time you brew the potion. So,
When you take those actions over there, you can spend one to swipe them out.
oh
I
yeah,
don't know if you said it.
I did not. One mistletoe will allow you to wipe the creatures and replenish with new ones. One rune will allow you to wipe the artifacts and replenish with new ones. And at any time, you can always you can always spend 2 of any ingredients. They do not have to be the same ingredient to get one of any of the 3 main resources. So that can be super helpful. Notice you cannot do that the other way. You cannot take one resource to get 2
That would be
ingredients.
great.
That would be great, but no, you cannot do it. Now notice most of these spaces do not require the special druids. There are some spaces that do. Notice my ability allows a druid to turn into an elder druid, and I can use any druid to do so. However, there are other abilities. Anytime you see a little the little intricate little engraving knots on the stone, and it's ringed in gold. It probably could have been made clearer. Notice that mine is definitely darker and has no gold ring around it, does not have that intricate knot work on it. But the other one there to the right does. That one requires one of your elder druids. The other thing that requires the elder druids is the menhir building spots up here. Those are much clearer to see. And notice no one can block you out of it because there's one spot per player color. Steph's ability does require an elder druid to activate.
They could have just put a little picture of the elder dude. They should have.
Or they could have made the whole
Just-
thing yellow instead of, instead of just barely ringing it in yellow. Like it's clear here, it's not as clear on the player boards for some reason. Anyway, there's a lot of extra room on the boards. However, it is very pretty to look at. I sort of, after playing this game, uh, and going through the dusk phase where you're pulling back all of the druids, it would have been nice to have all of the temples on one side of the board or the other, because as it was inevitable, someone would either miss a druid that needed to be pulled back, or more likely a lot of times what would happen is someone would pull a druid from the tree and accidentally take it back. It's like, oh no, I need to keep him on the tree. It's like, oh, where did I have him? I can't remember.
All right, so I think we're gonna do a quick break, and we're gonna be right back and play through the full game. So if you're watching this, just
Sort of a
check
separate
out.
rules video and playthrough video.
Yep. So check out the playthrough video that will be on YouTube right after this one. So
We'll be right back.
we'll be right back.